What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the Behind the Duel Disc podcast. I am your host, Ty Payne, and with me is also my co-host, Justin Morgan, and also with us is our teammate Enraged Peacock. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing tonight?
Just
Doing
fine.
great.
Good deal, good deal. I know, like me and Justin, Rage. I don't know if you got to join in the hyperbolic time chamber training we've been doing for Orlando, but we've been going through the ringer like the past 2 days.
That's what I've heard. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah.
I wish I could go so bad. I want to go so much.
Dude, I wish you could too. If I had the extra funds, I would spot you in a heartbeat.
I'm not lying, dude. Playing Edison the past couple of days with you guys makes you sort of want to just play the Ultimate Time Wizard instead of the advanced main event.
I mean, hey, there's have you already paid for the event?
Yeah, but I mean, the coin that you get is worth the 25 anyway.
Ah, gotcha.
Because,
Well,
like, I
the
mean,
pricing if you win the Ultimate Time Wizard is better than if you win the main
yeah.
event.
I mean, so like the thing is like it's kind of hard to test for the advanced format because like there's gonna be a new set out literally the week before, and it Dueling Book is just not real testing
It's
in
really
my
not.
opinion.
It is not.
Especially
I
yeah.
concur.
And like the people that are testing for the quote unquote next format, it's like all the same people online, and it's going to be a lot different. So it's outside of like testing different lines that my deck can do in certain scenarios. It's just I don't know. I got that feeling like I'm going to have fun, but I got that feeling like I'm not going to do great. And I feel like it's not any fault of mine. It's just like I'm not going to have. If the YCS was like 2 weeks after the set come out or 3 weeks after, then I think I'd fare better. But playing Edison with everybody in the group makes you sort of just want to back up the Edison deck and give it a shot there. It's just the top eight, and having to go X1 is intimidating.
Yeah, it
Uh,
really is.
but the good news is you will know fairly early on if you're going to have a chance of making that or not.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of side events to do. I think there's like a giant card on the first day. That's Ultimate Time Wizard. So that's probably going to be Edison too. So and that if you get the giant card there, I mean like that's just like as good as getting top three in the main event or whatever for the Ultimate Time Wizard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So
Uh, Oh, have they? They've not said what the giant card is for Orlando yet, have they?
no, we won't know until that Friday before. Typically, people go and take a picture of it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Well,
true. That's true.
it's probably going to be something we've had before, if I had to guess.
That's
Um,
what it seems to be recently. Is they just keep recycling. Like I know they did the Black Rose, or we did the Dark Arm. So,
yeah,
Yeah,
they really
they've done
Dark
black.
well,
Arm's
that
been a
being a new
while.
year and a new season, you think that this might be the launch of like the new stuff. I
Yeah,
would assume.
they've done Black Rose 3 times, haven't they?
You're thinking of BBG,
Oh,
maybe?
Well, no, I know for sure they've done it at least twice.
yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's been at least twice. I know Black Rose has been twice. They did Rescue Cat twice because they did a what's it called a
yeah,
remote
they
duel
did.
YCS, and James Ark won that. He got the Rescue Cat for that.
They
And
have
Yeah,
then
and
Judgment
then
Dragon.
Eric won the other. Or
yeah,
no, not Eric. What's his
Ernie
name?
Ernie
No, from I played
Oscar.
Oscar. Yeah, I was supposed to
Oscar,
play
yeah,
against him at
Oscar.
Nats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oscar got that one, and then
yeah,
Fraser got the Judgment Dragon.
and
And
then
then they've
Eric.
had Substitute, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eric got
yeah. They
the
had
Dark Magician of Chaos, and then
Yeah,
Bronte got the Substitute at Nats.
yeah, and then and like overseas, I know they did. I know Kaiko was one of them. That was random. MST
There's a
was
Jinzo
yeah.
overseas.
There was MST, Jinzo, Kaiko. I think they did Rescue Cat for one. I think, and Dark Arm was the recent one. Was correct?
Cyberstein was the last one I think at Niagara.
Ah, gotcha. But yeah, that I'm hoping. I'm honestly surprised stuff like Armor Master, Absolute Zero, Treeborn Frog, like
Oh, they did the Monarchs. Speaking of Treeborn, they did the
oh yeah,
Monarchs
they
at the
did do the Monarchs
3v3.
for Vegas. I forgot about
Yeah,
I forgot about Vegas.
Those
yeah.
three Monarchs are in the basement of a guy who goes to my locals.
Oh wow, that's funny.
It's incredible. I won't disclose what the transaction was, but it was incredible to say the least.
Oh, I could
Nice.
imagine. I could imagine.
Like I like the amount of money that those giant cards just go for. It just blows my mind. The amount like the amount like Frazier made, like the amount like
I saw the substitute transaction. I know, like, so Tyler Tabman, the guy who won Nats like 2012
yeah,
with
I
Windup.
remember Tyler Tabman.
Yeah, so he bought the substitute and 6,500. I was like, ooh,
Is it like he's still playing or just collecting?
nope. He just showed up. He's from Kansas City, which is like 3 hours from here, and
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Gotcha.
really cool. I love that crew. The Kansas City crews, they're awesome. I really enjoy them. Every time we would go to regionals, back in the day, Springfield had regionals, but we didn't get a whole lot, and they stopped. So we had to always go to like it's Lenexa, Kansas, but we call it Kansas City. It's like where Asia Persuasion 2008, his whole
Yeah.
crew would go there. Cesar Gonzalez came there a couple times. Like we had a couple of like big name people come through
I
in the
remember that.
past.
I remember there was like a group of videos that it was like Asian Persuasion, Dub K
Yep,
Dad, and Cesar
yep.
Gonzalez had all made. And like there was, I remember it was just one specific video, and I go back and watch it just because it was just so wild. Like their friend
Danny,
Danny,
Carlos.
yeah, he was playing against Caesar for money, and Caesar just game one OTKs went to
Oh yeah,
nothing. I was just like just the way that combo was just set up. I mean, it was a very simplistic combo. It was set up so clean. I was just like, damn, this is pretty nice.
but yeah. Well, then also Carlos, he opened up Gareth set back row, so it's like,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? You know.
that's true. But all right, so tonight's topic, like we got a few topics tonight. So our first topic on the agenda is going to be our ultimate time wizard Orlando predictions, like as far as like what we think is going to top and win the event, and
hmm
we'll also Justin, since you play way more modern than me and Enrage, you can like
Yeah.
give us some insight as to what you think um, is going to win the main event of the YCS. I know a little. I've been trying to keep up a little bit with what's going on. I know about the Fiend Smith Rysgill deck is very popular right now
Okay. Yeah.
since Triff won Anaheim with it. I know that's been all the rage with the kids these days. So
I've seen the Field Smith Rysgill Tempai deck that he also did at a regional, and then Joshua Schmidt made some content about it, saying it's actually like a good deck. Which I was like, oh boy, here we go.
yeah, I haven't seen. I've heard about that deck. I've not seen it yet. I don't know all the combos and nuances. I would be absolutely befuddled if I was to enter the main event.
Oh, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, there's no way. It's a different game under the same IP, is what I keep saying.
Yeah. Justin, what like you want to give us some insight on what's going on with that? We'll start with from there.
Yeah. So like I said, there's a new set coming out um, on the 23rd, 24th.
Hmm.
Nothing really. Like no really meta defining archetypes that have been really solved yet that are coming out in the set. There is a new TCG exclusive reptile archetype that will probably see some splashability in a few of the already top decks like Raziel and some things like that. It's finally makes Snake Rain pretty good, but it's a ritual archetype that it lets you ritual summon from the deck or tribute monsters from the deck to ritual from the hand, or
Gotcha.
tribute monsters from the hand to ritual from the deck. So it's very busted. It ends on like an Omni Negate. It ends on a board wipe. So people are splashing that engine with like Dogmatica stuff, the Raziel stuff. So there's like a new Fiend link. It's the reason why they banned Jowgen on the last ban list.
Hmm.
Um, and I believe it just special summons, like it can special summon anything back from the grave. So people were using it to like I think Jowgen was dumped into the grave and then bring back Jowgen. But I haven't looked too far into that card. But I think it's going to be like a good one of and like a lot of extra decks. And then outside of that, there's really nothing new that's going to impact the meta. I don't think there's.
Does this set
Um,
have the new White Forest stuff and the new Mermail
yes.
stuff, or is that the
It,
next set?
so this is the set. So it does have the White Forest. I forgot about that. That is actually going to bridge the gap between the White Forest and the Azamina archetypes.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all like part of the same lore and everything. But that the new stuff coming out actually bridges the gap because before it was you could mix the two engines together in a deck, but it wasn't as
It's like
cohesive.
clunky. Yeah.
Yeah, as something like Snake Eye Azamina. So this is going to sort of make it more cohesive, actually a lot more cohesive. And then the rest of the set is pretty much like legacy support. You got the hero stuff, you have Gladiator V stuff, which looks really really fun if you ask me.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw those. I saw
yeah,
there's like, is there a new Mermail Exceed or Link or something? And then I know there's like a new secret rare
yeah.
or something, isn't
So
there?
there's a new Xyz. It's like the chick, I forget her name, Abystius or not Abystius. They all have like
Abysdine,
similar
I
names.
think.
Lindy.
Yeah, it's the chick. It's like a new like a upgraded Xyz form of her, and then there's like a new like a Atlantean Poseidon or something like that, like a new card of that.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Um,
that'll make any difference. I know Mermail has seen like a little bit of like a uptick in play, but it's just not in the same caliber as anything with like a Fiendsmith or a Ryzeal engine
it's
compared to
not.
it.
It's not. It's a very fun deck though. I think Mermail's one of those decks, and it's always been one of those decks that just inherently takes a really good pilot to play it. Um, because it's one of those decks that can net you a lot of advantage, but you can also incorrectly use your resources and get really far behind in the game too. Um, but it takes a really good player. The new what is I forget what the new card does. I played against it yesterday because I was testing out Blue Eyes for next month, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah. That.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for the Primite stuff, and then
I
the new
think
structure
yeah,
deck.
yeah. So on summon, it's a main deck monster. On summon, it sends something from deck to grave as cost, so you can't like Ash Blossom it.
Oh, that's fun.
And then I
Sending for
think
cost is always good.
yeah, and then it might banish a card on the field or something. It might be like just another form of interruption because there's a way to summon it on your opponent's turn. So you can like send something like infantry or something like that and pop a card, and then do whatever the on field effect of it is. So it's pretty cool, but I don't think it's going to bring the deck up anywhere that it's already not.
I have
It's
a
not going to
follow
make
up
it any
question.
better.
So I know that in the last couple of YCSs, there's been like 15 to 20 hand traps as like the norm, and then
Yeah.
now that Snake Eye kind of got hit down with the original Sinful Spoil and the different other limitations. Do you think it's going to be more of a hand trap meta, or is it going to be more like a board breaker approach, or how do you think that's going to change going into this next YCS?
So it's interesting you say that because I've pretty much been playing the same deck for the past probably 2 or 3 years. Just different iterations of it. But I also learn how to play the other decks, obviously, too, and keep up with those. And currently, I only play board breakers just because that's what works best with heroes.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I still think that it is a hand trap format, just because a lot of boards are ending on layered boards. So one board breaker just isn't going to cut it. Same thing with like a hand trap. Like one hand trap usually just
You
doesn't
have to
do it,
pair it.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it does slow them down enough to where your engine can typically, if you draw two or three at a time and you time them well, it should be enough to where your engine should be able to go ahead and just play through that. Um, but when I say layered boards, like it's like you play a dark ruler or whatever. Okay, when I also have grave interaction, I also have hand interaction. I'm just going to build a board on your turn while you play. Um, so board breakers, this coming up format, I think Book of Eclipse is really solid. It's really good into the Raziel matchup. Just flipping their Xyz face down, it cuts off their field spell. It cuts off their detonator, which is crazy that it can pop 3 times
Yeah.
when you have something like Dryden and Band. Um, that just is, I'm flabbergasted by that. Um, Book of Eclipse is really good, but I still think that the hand traps because you have to realize there's like right now after this next set there's going to be 9 Mag Cs pretty much in the format.
That's
That was gonna be
insane.
my final question. Was, do you think the
Yeah,
new Charmy is going to have much of an effect? 'Cause this one is if you special from like Grave or Banish, or like I don't remember
yeah.
what something with Banish. I don't remember the other part.
So it's Banish and Grave.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really good against Malice.
Okay, so it's going to probably at least definitely be in the side deck somewhere.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
think
also
it's a
only
good.
good if you go second, because you have to have no cards to play any of those, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when I look at a card like that, I look at like the Ghost Sisters. You know how like pretty much Ash is in every format, right?
Mhm.
But you got a card that's like Ogre that's not going to see every
Or
play
Bell,
every
or
format.
yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, but
interchange
like
it.
it's one of those cards you want to have in your binder. Um, so I think hand traps like ditching a Charmy, drawing 4 to 5 cards at the very minimum. and just seeing more of your hand traps, like your imperms that are not once per turn, your ashes and stuff like that. I still do think it's a hand trap format. Um, and going first, like if you draw, your engine and board breakers, and your engine gets stopped, then you don't have anything to play with on your opponent's turn. They're just going to kill you. So your board breakers in your hand really aren't going to do anything. Um, I play them for. I sort of have to play board breakers in my deck because my deck just inherently has a
It's a
large
combo,
engine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a large engine. So Ty knows you can't afford to put 15 to 20 hand traps in a deck like Hero.
Yeah, you really
Um,
can't.
Yeah,
when
because the
something like
snake eye and the snake eye and your U-Bell and all that kind of stuff, they had like literal one card starters where hero wasn't
exactly,
necessarily a one card. It would
yeah,
have another card in conjunction with it, so you can't allocate that spot to possibly like a board break or a trap and
yeah.
not be able to do anything.
Like
Yeah, so I get that.
Heroes legit always have to have two cards. The only out to that is Fusion Destiny. That's a legit a one card combo, but you just have to inherently play board breakers with that deck.
Yeah,
But I still do think it's a hand trap format. Now it's going to be interesting come February when Blue Eyes is a deck,
I'm ready for that.
because
That's got me
yeah,
excited.
that deck is going to have a lot of um, that deck can put up some nasty boards with Spirit Dragon, but typically, what I've noticed a lot of Blue Eyes players is they'll leave the Spirit Dragons up on their opponent's turn, and then that leaves them with two grave, negates, and then they go
yeah,
into their Omni negate, and then they go into Crimson Dragon, and into another Omni. So I've seen a lot of people play Book of Eclipse going first and going second because you can dodge hand traps when you're going first by flipping your own cards face down, or debate on an Ash Blossom or whatever. But going second against Blue Eyes, flipping their Spirit Dragons face down, then it sort of cuts them off of what they can do that turn outside of hand traps. So I
right.
do think that the next format, Book of Eclipse, is going to see a lot more play. Probably Dark Ruler No More is going to see some play. So up until the middle of February, it's going to be a hand trap format.
That makes sense though, because the last time I know Book of Eclipse saw a lot of success in being played was whenever Pearly was kind of good and whenever
Yeah.
Cashtira was really good. Because anything
Yeah.
that's Xyz focused kind of gets is susceptible to the Book of Eclipse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason why like Book of Eclipse now isn't as great, is because I notice a lot of the decks just have the Raziel engine, or not Raziel, but the Fiendsmith engine.
Yeah,
So when you Book of Eclipse, you can Book of Eclipse obviously like their detonator or whatever it is, but then you're usually going to just follow up with like, I mean, they have their Desiree on field, that's an Omni negate. So you usually need two forms of board breaker to really play through a board like that. So um,
yeah, that's the magic word I always hear in modern Yu-Gi-Oh deck profiles is do this for follow up, for follow up, for follow
it's
up.
it's funny too because I was playing against a Malice deck today. Slipped off topic, but I got Book of Eclipse. I had Plasma, Dark Law, Absolute Zero, DPE on the field, and he Book of Eclipse is me, and he has like this Firewall Dragon that prevents effects from happening in the battle phase. I'm like, well, shoot, man, there goes my Ab Zero and my DPE. He attacks over DPE, and of course I can't activate it. Then attacks over Plasma. I'm like, okay. So in the end phase, flip up my three remaining cards. You get three draws. Link off the Ab Zero, blow up his board,
Hmm.
and summon Cross Crusader, bring back DPE. So it was just a funny interaction with the. It's funny too because like a lot of modern players, like obviously Absolute Zero is like what a 15-year-old card at this point, or
Yeah.
sorry, 17-year-old card, 16.
Yeah. 16.
So
It came out
yeah,
in 2010, I'm pretty sure.
okay, yeah, so it's a 15-year-old card almost, and a lot of people don't like bother to read what cards do. So throwing people off with an Ab Zero in 2025 is pretty fun.
Yeah,
It's always fun to
But
go. What are you gonna
no,
say?
you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I say it's always fun to get like get an old effect off that people aren't really privy to. Like they don't, just don't like they'll go through a play and just not even think about it. Think about the repercussions of it. Like in that situation you just said like your opponent should just should really went after the absolute zero over the DPE. Like I mean it probably wouldn't have mattered in the long run, but it probably would have been better.
well, just in general with Yu-Gi-Oh, if your opponent has to pick up your cards and read it, you're already ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to Boyd about this yesterday too. Is that is a big advantage in itself. And anytime a person asks, "What does that card do?" just let them read the card because
Oh,
chances are
always. Always.
they're going to read what they think is relevant and just not read the rest, or they're going to read it and just not remember it. It's like Soul of Purity and Light. A lot of people will read the card and then still attempt to attack over it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, damage step, and they're like, okay, and then it's like, all right, well, you take 200 or whatever it is. Um, but going back to the YCS, if I had to make an educated guess, I would think that something with Raziel is going to win because decks now just aren't as archetypal as they used to be. It's you play 3 to 4 engines in one deck,
Yeah.
Hmm.
so it's really not hard to make a guess. It's something that's going to have the Fiendsmith engine in it 100%.
I
Um,
think it's crazy how the modern decks, they literally, like you said, you mix engines together. Like they print engines together. Like there's a card called Scarecrow, like Kashtira. Like that'd be like
yeah,
a Blackwing Gladiator Beast. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
it is, and it's crazy too because like a lot of this, lore stuff started back with Dual Terminal,
Mm-hmm.
but then it got really popular with like the Shadal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and then really popular. I think branded was
that's the
like,
biggest, I think. Yeah, that
yeah,
or the
Yeah.
Sky Striker.
yeah. So people started mixing, and you had branded Dogmatic with Sky Striker. You had branded Dogmatica, and then you had like Sword Soul, which was part of that too. But those decks really like weren't so cohesive. Like they were all part of the same overarching story, but they weren't like you could play some of them together, but they weren't like great. But now it's like everything can be played with anything, and it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, the lore
And
was better than the archetype versus now the archetype is better than the lore, probably.
exactly, yeah. So um, that's my prediction. But we're not here for modern, right?
Well, it's
So
it's always it's always good to know what's going on because like
I
yeah,
find it fascinating.
yeah.
I love to watch high caliber Yu-Gi-Oh! Like even formats I don't even like. I've watched,
well, I'm glad, yeah. And
yeah.
I'm that way too. Like I might not enjoy format, or I might not enjoy certain decks, but if there's a YCS and I'm at the house or something, then like usually like on the weekends, if I'm not playing cards, I'm hanging out with the family or cleaning, So just flip on the stream, and sometimes it's background noise, and sometimes I'll sit down and watch what goes on because the last YCS with Triff won, that was a really good main event.
Oh
That
yeah.
whole thing was so good with not like the ban list reveal at the end. Like I hope that's something they keep going in 2025, making it more of a spectacle and more of like a, you know, an actual like show instead of just being like round by round coverage and then it's over. Like that whole thing at the end with the whole, I thought the bit was great and the fact that they actually like are presenting the ban list to people who are the people who care the most. Like they're paying money to travel to this event. Like I bet that was an awesome thing to experience like in
Dude,
person.
I honestly think that if they would just do better as far as pricing goes, then Yu-Gi-Oh wouldn't there wouldn't be any other competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon obviously, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh would be the absolute best as far as the majority of everything. If they could just get pricing, because I mean, like, just imagine like great pricing, a stream where you have a ban list when it's supposed to be out, and something I like about the European YCS is I've noticed too. I don't know if you guys watch those.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Is
the
Big
EU
time.
production team is so much better than
they
anything.
are
Yeah. It's not
the,
even
the
close.
one the one thing I complain about with American YCS is like you'll be watching something and then like okay, well let's wait till the next round and listen to 30 minutes of Yu-Gi-Oh intros. While we watch people trade on the game, on the
Or
floor
have
or
Billy Bray
whatever.
go on a tangent about the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whereas you have like people doing interviews with like the winners, you have people like sort of like little podcasts taking place in between. They're playing retro formats. Like I saw one where they were playing like Paleo Frog format from like 2016.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
We'll also just interview known players and like with the silly little, like trivia games. It's like, what was the first Elemental Hero card ever released? Just random fun stuff in between the rounds, just to keep it lively and like engaged.
Right. Okay. Uh, I guess we'll go like we'll shift from the main event and we'll
To
shift
the real main event.
to the real to the real main event. Ultimate Time Wizard Orlando. Um, what's your predictions on like a top eight for that, and then Rage we'll go to you for your predictions,
Sure.
Justin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said him first. So I'm going to keep it short since I talked the majority of the last one. Looking back and you see the pattern. First off, I want to say this. Um, it'd be nice if Light Swarm with Void can win, or if you can win tie with whatever deck you're playing. I would obviously love to see one of the people on the team bring it home.
100%.
Um, but putting that to the side, when I look at past results, it's either going to be some kind of bird deck or it's going to be a frog deck. I don't think. I'm not saying other ones don't have a chance, but just basing off of patterns in the past, if I had to put money on it, I would say it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, I'm
That's fair.
I'm stuck right now on like between because like I really want to play Diva Hero. Like it's like I just because I like not only just because I just believe in the deck. And I really feel like I have I like the potential to win with that deck. But at the same time, I
The
know
deck will make your decision for
it
you.
it,
Whether no
it
matter how you play, the
yeah,
deck will make decisions for you. Sadly, was my what I learned with it.
yeah, it will definitely make decisions for you. Like if you need Miracle Fusion, it might just decide to give you a return from different dimensions that you can't even use, or a trap dust shoot that is like 8 turns too late, or anything to that nature.
Yeah,
But I'm stuck between that, and I'm stuck between like Blackwing, because like I've recently started like playing Blackwing again, and like I've been enjoying it. Like I tried playing Value. I've tried playing Value multiple times, and it's just I know it's a really great deck. I'm just not Ike.
that's how I am with
Yeah,
Blackwing. I know Blackwing is incredibly good. I just
yeah,
am not a Blackwing player. I've never had a good time playing it. I just it doesn't. Some things just don't click with
yeah.
certain people, and I just can never make Blackwing work. I know it's extremely good and strong. It's just not a deck I'll probably ever play.
Right.
And to kind of go base more off that, I've said it a couple times in the group chat, but I think the best thing you can do is play what you're most comfortable with and the thing that you are the most well versed in. You want to play for the event, not for the deck profile afterward. It doesn't matter if you had some crazy spicy tech. Like I play this boring plain Jane Blackwing deck, and
Right.
people in the comments be like, "Oh, boring birds, blah." It's like he topped. He beat everyone else with whatever he did. It doesn't matter if it wasn't an interesting deck list.
Yeah. So
That's something I think people get caught in a lot when it comes to this. Like, oh, it's just a black one. Let's skip over it. It's like that.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I
eh,
get it, but at the same time,
And that's been in
go
my
ahead.
mind. That's been in my mind as well, because the thing about it is, yeah, like I feel like I could have like a higher ceiling of doing well with like Blackwing, yeah. But like the thing about it is, I feel like if I was like top or win, I feel like I would just be like another facing the clouds, like type of deal, like like facing the crowd, not facing the cloud, unless I say cloud, but another facing the crowd type of deal. It's like you know, it's like, okay, another guy top with black wings, or one with black wings, woo, who cares? But I
Well,
know,
people who say that have never been in a spot where they could possibly even make it to a top cut. You know what I mean?
yeah, like most of the time, people that say that, yeah, you're right there sitting from the couch with your
here,
goggles on.
what gets me too is like, so you have these established decks like Blackwing or Value, and people will make that excuse, but then like if you win with something like Gladiator Beast or Amaryllis, they're like, well, that's not a real deck, so you're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah,
No,
Um,
never, never.
yeah.
You can
So
cure cancer, and you'll have haters.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So looking back, Ty, you topped the first Ultimate Time Wizard. Well, you got what, top 16 or top 32?
I got top 32 at nationals, when they had the
Okay.
Ultimate Time Wizard. I
So
got I got 29th, I think it was.
okay. So that's pretty good because that's like the size of a SJC back in the day, right? So that's
Yeah,
that's pretty good. You already know what to do with the deck. I think taking something like Diva Hero is just going to have a little bit more variance than something like Blackwing.
hmm
I think take something that you're comfortable with, something that um, is just established and good. I think Blackwing just has a better toolbox engine and extra deck than something like Diva Hero would. And that's not to say you're not great with both decks. I think you are. I think you could do well with both. But looking at what you're going up against, like you're going up against like a lot of frogs, you're going up against like a lot of value. I think that Blackwing just inherently does better against those two decks than something like Diva Hero would.
right. That's
Diva also catches a random stray from deck dev, which is really, really abundant right now.
yeah.
Yeah. And you with Blackwing as an experienced player, because the Ultimate Time Wizards, I mean, they have great players there. That's where but I don't think it's something like RBET, where like all the majority are people that are dedicated to the format. Ultimate Time Wizards will be like a lot of new people to the format, and a lot of people just want to have fun. So taking something like Blackwings that is already good behind the good players, you're just going to be cooking for a while.
Yeah.
So
The thing, if you're going to take Blackwing, the most important thing to consider is your side is just going to have to be based on it's a counter side to their side. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
game one, Blackwing kind of just walks most decks besides maybe Frogs. I think Frogs is more favorable game one versus than Blackwing is.
Yeah.
But game two, whenever you can bring in the deck devs, but they're going to bring in Consecrated. Well, Frogs
yeah,
can't bring in Decree, but most decks can bring in Consecrated Decree, and that's how I won 5 of my Blackwing matchups at Nats was Consecrated Decree. It just solos.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah,
So
that's
the game plan would be to counter side for their side. Like one of the things I was playing whenever Dragon and Fraser's Online Locals, I kept getting destroyed by Hydro Pump with Dragon Turbo. I'm like, this deck is insane. There's nothing I can do to stop it. So what I ended up starting doing was not only was I siding the Floodgate monsters like Vanities and Dyna, I also sided my body to pair with it. Kind of like what we were talking about with the having the layered interruption with having multiple hand traps or a hand trap and a board breaker. You have their Floodgate monster, and they're going to side in Vortex, Mirror Force, Torrent. So then you also have the My Body to protect that as well.
mhm.
It gets clunky, but that's the only way you can kind of combat a deck with that high of a ceiling.
Right.
yeah. And
And so
I've
that's what I
noticed
think
some.
you'd have to do to be successful with the Blackwing, because everyone knows how to play against and side for Blackwings, but that doesn't take away how powerful that ability is. Because you know how to play around it doesn't mean it's not unbelievably powerful.
Yeah,
Right.
and the thought process with side deck cards too is like they have to see it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
So if you just get your engine going before they can, like, and Fissure too is a good side deck card. I've seen a lot of people playing with Black Wings out consecrated and do frog locks.
Yeah.
I've been big on Fissure and Forbidden Chalice.
Yes.
Yeah. I was playing. I was playing Visor at that Switch tournament we went to, Justin.
Use what?
I was playing Fisher in my side deck for that Switch tournament we went
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I saw you play. I think you played it against Zach in the mirror match.
Yeah, I did just to
I
try and
think he
like
had armor. I think it might have an armor master or something.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I tried. I was just trying to play like trying to like make his Icarus attacks. Just trying to make those dead or like make him like pop his own stuff if he wanted to like get the Icarus attack off.
Yeah, just one for one removal is still really good. Like I don't know if people know this, but Smashing Ground was limited for many years. Like
It was.
yeah,
and Fissure does the same thing, but with a better application in this because Consecrate is what you're trying to find. And if Consecrate has 0 attack, it's always going to be the Fissure target.
I saw one consecrated that entire tournament and it immediately got viscered like
Yeah.
the next turn. It like no.
Whenever I was messing around with Blackwing, I was big on maining 1 or 2 Chalice because it's your main deck out to Rykos.
Hmm.
But also, it's a main deck card that you don't have to side out that's already good versus the opposing Consecrated too.
That is very true. I, I I didn't think about that. That's pretty good. That's really good.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, so
that's
sometimes I have okay ideas.
that's a fair point. So it's already 9:04. So how about we switch gears to the hot topic the past week of Edison versus other formats, really, I guess.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. So, if any of you listening has not been been privy to like what's going on, uh, so TCG Rewind. I'll preface this. We have no issue with TCG Rewind at all. Like he's been on our show, he's been on our podcast before. He was he was fine when he was on our show. But so he put out a video talking about what was the act like the title is like play anything.
Why you shouldn't play Edison?
Why you shouldn't play Edison and literally play anything else, something like that, something to that nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has took that video down since then though.
Yeah, he's taking that video down because it got ended up getting like a lot of hate, and then he put out like a giant like apology about the video as well.
I'm not sure. He did a debate with Little Man Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, I
That
didn't
was a good
Um,
video. I watched that
and
just today. That it was an hour long. It was pretty good.
it wasn't really a debate, but it was good.
It was a lot of
Um,
backpedaling, but yeah.
so my opinion on it, is Tyler's a good dude.
Yeah,
I think that his intent comes from a good place. But I think I would have went about it with more of like why you should play Tengu,
yeah,
and not something along the lines of hating on other formats because I love Tengu. It's my favorite retro format. I'm not gonna lie. I've said it many times. Um, but I also love Edison, and I feel like Tengu Hat wouldn't see the play that it does now, albeit it's little, without Edison becoming so popular. And other formats can't get popular without Edison becoming popular too. Because then, was if Edison can't kick off, then what's the motivation for Konami to support other formats?
yeah.
Um,
That's true.
but there's a lot of good arguments as to why one format's better than another. I think what makes Edison format enjoyable for a lot of people is it's first off it's an easy introduction to the game. It doesn't have it has some broken one ups, but it's nothing like the Trinity from like Goat format or something like that, right?
Right.
Every deck is pretty much bad, like consistency wise, outside of probably Black Wings. So that sort of brings a lot of decks to the same level, to where like if every deck's bad, then I can play anything I want to play and have fun with it, right?
Right.
Um, there's a lot of there's a decent card pool. Um, some people enjoy Tengu format because you have like the counter traps, you have the hand traps, you have things like that that make the game maybe a little more interactive. I like it personally because of the card pool. I wish that some cards that are out in Tengu were out in Edison format. Not, I would be happy if Edison format included the Shining Darkness. Frog players would be winning every event, but um,
It wouldn't be the same
yeah,
format.
for me, it's the card pool. That's why I love about it so much. I can play like the Shining and Heroes. I can play like Infernity and stuff like that. That's why I love it. I think that if the video was more focused on why you should play Tengu, then I think it could have came across a little bit better because at the end of the day, you're not going to dissuade thousands of people, millions of people, maybe I don't know how many, from playing a format that is already established and loved.
Right.
So why not just go ahead and try to promote the one that you got? And um, I think there's could be some frustration behind it. This guy's been doing this channel for Tengu for a long time, and he's put a lot of work into it. He's done tournaments and everything. Um, and there might just be some frustration to where the format you love hasn't kicked off as much. And I think it's just going to take time. Eventually, people are going to want to play something different besides Edison for a little bit, and that's where the moment for other formats, like whether it be Goat again or whether it be Tengu or Hat format, whatever it is a good time for that to maybe pick up a little bit of pace. Then you got the 3v3 come up in Vegas, and typically when the 3v3 happens, you'll notice like a lot of locals, even on the East Coast here, will start playing other formats too to help these guys prep, right?
Yeah.
So it isn't like these formats are never going to see any kind of play. There's like Dueling Book tournaments, so all kinds of stuff. Um, my take on it is no matter what format you enjoy, let other people enjoy the ones they play too, right?
Exactly.
If you don't
Mhm.
if you don't want to play a format, don't play it. Um, I was listening to I think it was Little Man Yu-Gi-Oh. If you really enjoy a format and you want more people to play it, and you're that invested in it, you're going to have to drop some money. Make 4 or 5 decks, low rarity. Take them to your locals after your main, the locals is over with, and say, let's play some Tengu. And then those 4 people might like it. Okay, well, let me go to this other locals I go to on Wednesday. I'll see if they want to play. Eventually, it's going to pick up. I remember back in 2021, YCS Charlotte, right after COVID, the first YCS back. Me and Boyd and Ty were playing Edison format just for fun before it was even really a thing again, playing Light Sworns versus Black Wings, probably horrible builds at the time, at a table and people stopping by like, oh, that's cool, they're playing retro format. And the next thing you know, 6 months later, it's an official thing. So it's got to start somewhere. Don't be angry because it's not picking up as quick as you want. Don't belittle other people. But just play what you want to play.
Right. Exactly. Like it's like it. I feel like it's going to be inevitable. Like Tengu format will pick up, and it. To be honest, like it'll probably pick up actually sooner than a lot of people think because. And it's really just got to do with the ultimate time wizard mat we have now. We have reborn Tengu as a mat. Like it would be really weird to not get an ultimate time wizard that doesn't have a Tengu format like with to go along with it, a Tengu format tournament to go along with it. Like it just that would be really weird to go this entire first half of the year and not have a single Tengu Ultimate Time Wizard. That'd be very strange.
It,
I have a
it's not.
couple of I got a couple of points that I wanted to, not necessarily hot takes, but I've spent quite a bit of time like actually looking over a bunch of different things about this and kind of thinking about it because overall, like the thing that was most frustrating with me about the video was the amount of like backpedaling he's had to do. 'Cause he's like, I never said Edison was a bad format. I'm like, the intent there was why you should not play Edison. That is rage baiting, like
Yeah.
title. It was meant to do it to drive views, which is what you want to do to grow a community. That's not the way you want your community to grow, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's
You don't want to grow a community off of hate.
Right. The other thing was the amount of things taken out of taking clips and then posting the clips and making it fit anecdotally
Yes.
to your agenda
Okay.
made me furious because the one I saw that I got the most mad about was I was in part of this in the stream where he showed the Jesse Cotton video, and Jesse Cotton was saying how like Edison's not for him. He wasn't saying that. He was saying that Ultimate Time Wizard as a whole isn't a thing for him, which when you're the best modern player, why would you give any sort of a care about a retro format when you're the best player in a current format ongoing?
Right.
And
right.
many other clips, but that was the one that was just the most
Yeah. And
egregious.
another thing too that got me is it was mainly, I'm glad you brought that up, was the footage being cut to fit the narrative. We had a podcast with him on the Edison Club a while back, and
Yep.
like I said, he's a good dude. But it'd have been nice if he was like, "Hey, I'm making a video about this. I'm going to say this. Can I use these clips?" Because at the end of the day, the Edison Club and the channel behind the dual disc or whatever it is promotes Edison format primarily.
Yeah.
And why would a channel called the Edison Club start saying Edison should be played? Like, why would
Well,
they
also
want
it's we
these
whenever
yeah.
like I joke around and talk shit about GOAT format, but I've also like played a lot of GOAT format. I've been ranked 2 on the rank ladder in DB for like GOAT format.
Yeah.
We don't try to like steal people from other. I try to sell modern players, I guess. Whenever Fire or Snake Eye Fire King was like the tier 0, everyone hated it, and they're like, "Oh, it's $2,000 for a deck." I would just make random tweets like, "Come play Edison. It's cheap. We'd love to have you."
Yeah.
Versus being like, "Don't play this format. Come play ours." Like, I don't care if you play Tengu or Goat or Android or Critter or whatever format you want to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not going to ever be like, "Oh, you don't like Edison? Cool. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about it. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy
like-
whatever you like."
It's like Fraser says at the end of his podcast. Do the things that make you happy. Like if Edison makes you happy, play Edison. If Goat makes you happy, play Goat. If Hat format makes you happy, play Hat. If Meadowland format, for God's sake, even though that's a mistake, that's another rant for another day. If that makes you happy, go play that.
I made a comment on our group chat the other day, and I want to pull it up because I thought it basically encompassed what I was trying to say, but a little bit better. Where I said, let me see. Basically, I said my format isn't as popular as the other, so I'm going to talk bad about it. It's definitely an L take. That was our contest, and what was the other part? Yeah, the cherry picking of the clips. There was another. I'm trying to find it. There was something else that I said where basically it was the vibe I got from the whole tone of the video and the way everything was kind of edited together was my format isn't as popular. I'm mad.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost like a kid throwing a tantrum.
Which is, I mean, it is fair to an extent. Like, if you're really passionate about something and then Konami is only showing love towards Edison, but he was also blaming on the marketing. I'm like, when I was at Nats, there was the Ultimate Time Wizard Edison, and they also had Edison pods, and they also had Hat pods, and Tengu pods, and Goat pods, and nothing was close, like not even remotely close to how many Edison pods just fired.
Yeah, the thing about it is it's gonna be that way, right, for a good while until one of these other formats like really just like fires off, has the rousing success that Edison has had. I feel like once one if it's Tengu's time, if we get like a Tengu Ultimate Time Wizard it might be the kickstart point for it. But I mean, right
I
now,
love retro Yu-Gi-Oh. If
yeah,
there was a
same.
Tengu event, I would learn Tengu to play it.
So,
If there
and
was a
here,
hat event, I
Yeah,
would play hat. But I enjoy Edison the most, and I'm gonna say I would prefer there to be Edison stuff because that's what I like.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, you play hat? That's dumb. Don't ever play hat format. Like, why would I do that? I'm 32 years old. I have no interest in arguing with some guy about if this format is better or not. I'm gonna play what format I like and just go about my day.
Right, exactly. I primarily play Edison. I really enjoy it. It's like I like I'm not the biggest Tengu fan, but I have a Tengu deck in my in my binder. I will play if there's an
and,
Ultimate Time Wizard for Tengu that's nearby. Yeah, I'll play a Tengu Ultimate Time Wizard.
and here's the thing too, right? Is like not a lot of people are going to drop what money they have and spend it 2 weeks on a time. They announced Time Wizards like 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah,
And let's say they're making Tengu or making hats. A lot of people don't have these cards.
yeah,
There's a lot of cards have not been reprinted like Edison has. You got to think about this too. When Edison first picked up, a lot of the stuff wasn't reprinted. People were playing like old rarities. It was expensive. It was hard to find stuff, and the attendance was lower. Now that like Konami has reprinted Edison cards in the quarter century, they've reprinted them in OTS packs. They've given little reprints here in the Battles of Legends set. More people are able to play now. A lot of these Tengu cards have not been reprinted like a lot of these extra deck stuff. It's hard to find some of these cards, and you can't expect people to have these cards handy for a pod. You
yeah.
can't expect to have these cards ready for a
No,
main event.
I
Yeah.
kind of would push back and disagree with that because if you're someone who's going to an event to compete, I don't think you'd have an issue spending money or like buying whatever you would need to do to play that event.
No. What I'm getting at is like, okay, let's say that you got 250 people that are expecting a Time Wizard tournament, right? And let's say 2 weeks beforehand, they're like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and drop and we're going to make it a Tengu format. Okay, that's fine. But now I got to get on TCG Player. I got to find 30 cards for my deck that are probably from 15 different sellers, and they might not be here in time. So until they get like mass reprints for a lot of this Tengu stuff, I just feel like a lot of people aren't going to want to be willing to spend the money on a different format when something like Edison's already there.
Yeah,
I can see that, but I think if you're like targeting, like if you're talking about a competitive person who's going to get on a plane and travel to a different part of the country,
Yeah.
that they have the means and ability to find the cards they would need for whatever deck they'd be playing.
Yeah, and obviously they did for Vegas, right? I mean, they did for
Yeah.
Vegas, and those people probably still have those decks too. I mean, let's be real. But for the average person, they just don't want. Even for like if a locals picked it up, no one's going to want to spend $50 to $100 on a new deck when like, hey, we all have Edison decks already. Let's all play Edison.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that. The
Yeah.
other part I was kind of thinking of was that's also like us being spoiled again already because just a couple years ago we didn't have retro tournaments in person like as a thing. Like the closest thing we had was like the online RBT or like they had the GOAT monthlies and they ended up having the GOAT Grand Prix. Like this is still like retro Yu-Gi-Oh is still like in its infancy if you really think about it from a competitive standpoint where it's actually supported by Konami. Like within the
Yeah.
last couple of years, this has been the start. And, GOAT basically started walking so other formats could run. And Konami favoring Edison right now may not be ideal, but the fact that there is still so much interest in like Time Wizard as a whole, it's going to keep growing like it hasn't been expanding. Like the Nats that I taught, it was 467 people, I think, which was, a pretty big event for a side event,
Oh, yeah.
realistically.
Oh yeah, that's like that. Like that's nothing. Like that's those numbers are nothing to sneeze at all.
Because it was what $25 to enter, and that is a gripe I had. $25 to enter, and they gave us Duelist Nexus. Like,
Yeah.
but either way, do what is
what I-
25
that's what
times
I got
467.
today.
That's a lot of entry money.
Yeah.
That's what I got today for my VIP entry.
What'd you get?
Duelist Nexus.
Oh my god.
$11,675 was the entry fee for the Ultimate Time Wizard Edison. For just the entry fees.
Jeez. Like that. I hope going forward. This is part of like I might as well just like meld the next topic like the future of like Ultimate Time Wizards. I hope that they end up changing it from top 8 to top 16. That's still just it's just like we were talking about a little bit earlier before we started recording, but that still
Oh, I know.
bothers me to my
Trust me.
core. Like that y'all had that many people at nationals, and
9 rounds.
9 rounds, and there was still people that that played admirably and played well, and just nope, sorry, didn't make it. And then I still think about when they did YCS Richmond, and they had told people it was going to be top 16, and then they were like, "Nah, psych, it's always going to be top 8." And it's just like
They didn't exactly do that at Nats, but they kind of did because they said it was going to be 8 rounds of Swiss, 6 rounds today, and then 2 rounds tomorrow. And then round 3 comes around. They're like, just kidding, it's 9 rounds all today.
right. Oh, I was saying, I was.
But it was still only top 8.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying they did that for Nats. I was saying like they did that back at YCS Richmond.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they
no,
did that there.
it's a bad
Yeah.
practice no matter
Yeah.
how you slice it. And at the same time, I still feel like we're at least blessed to have these things to complain about because there's at least something there to complain about where this wasn't even a thought a couple of years ago. So the fact that it's at least here means that it's something that has frustration, but it's something that can improve, and they will improve if they're pulling these kind of numbers for it.
Right.
I'm hoping for the day where we get an actual just Ultimate Time Wizard YCS.
Yes, that would be amazing. Like
I've heard like modern content creators say that they would go to a Time Wizard YCS just because of like how it would be fun. It'd be something different. It's not something they would want everything to be, but it'd be like a once a year thing maybe.
yeah, it's like that like, and the thing about it is like what would they lose? Like what would they lose from it if they had it? Like I feel like that would gravitate a lot of attention.
Well,
Can you
because
imagine
I think
they
that they
go-
don't want to detract away from the main. So they basically a YCS is just a big marketing scheme for them to sell Yu-Gi-Oh products.
Yeah.
Is how Konami views it. You know what I mean? And if you have your main breadwinning machine be, there's 2,000, 1,000, 2,000 players on average entering like your standard YCS.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger chunk of change versus the, whenever Konami looks at it, they don't care what the format is, they look at the bottom line. The bottom line, Modern makes them more money.
Yeah, that is true. That's very
But there's also that caveat where they could pick up some of the, the shavings or whatever you would as an analogy to where they could pick up the scraps and still give some to the retro community, which is what they have been doing, which has led to a point where we are now, where it's, showing like there's money, like they're reprinting stuff for Edison format, like in modern like sets
Yeah.
to draw in that group of people that they were excluding before. So things are going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near perfect, but we're at least going in a good direction versus a bad direction.
Right, like these bonanza sets, we we needed these. Like for some cards, like in these sets, there's been stuff that people like have been dying to have. If not be like stuff that they were missing for like whatever deck that they're wanting to put together. It's just to up rarities on stuff to be like, yeah, I can't afford an Ulti Caius, but I can get this QCR one.
Yeah, I wish I could find the date where I first said it, but I remember like it had to been like 2021, 2022. I was like, how incredible it'd be if they had like a reprint like deck builder set with like ultra rares and then like the chase cards as collector rares with like reprint cards. Like that would sell like crazy.
Yeah.
And they basically took that model and implemented it with like their just Megaton, but with modern and retro cards. And I was like, oh wow, it's kind of what I had as an idea, but better because now when if you have a pack that would only sell to modern players, you're excommunicating the entire like casual old head player group that will buy money or spend money on the game. Yeah. Well, now you have these old cards in it, so it's like layered in, so you can't just cherry pick what you do, what you don't want. Like you'll buy a pack, you're like, okay, well I'll get some modern cards and some retro cards, but if you don't want the modern cards, you can literally trade those cards to other people, and it's a trading card game. Like the rarity collection was the first time I've seen people at my locals like trading cards like that we used to back in the day, because now you have TCG Player and eBay and all these things. Like if you want something, you just go buy the singles, it's cheaper. Yeah. But if you get random packs like this, it appeals to both markets. It's just a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cool thing about rarity collection is you get a lot of modern players that don't want that stuff.
Yeah. And then you get retro players who don't want that stuff, and it's like, hey, you want to trade?
Just do swaps.
And sometimes it's like they pull like a $15 Dark End Dragon, and you pull like a $6 Triple Tactics talent. Yeah, here's a trade. You're good. Like it's
I
crazy.
pulled a CR Ghost Ogre. I was like, oh my god, this thing's like $18.
Nice. Did you just fall in the toilet?
No, that's my bath water. Remember, I didn't use the bath. It's relaxing. I need like a glass of wine and do like my own podcast.
Oh my
Did you ever?
God.
I have a random unlocked memory. Did you guys ever watch like the Amanda Show growing up,
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
or maybe it was All That? Where I think it was All That because it was the guy that was from Keenan and Kel, and he does like the really racist like French guy accent in
Oh
the tub.
yeah, Keenan.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember what that clip is called, but there's a very distinct memory I have of him in a bathtub and speaking like what would be like I'm assuming like cliche racist like French things
Yeah.
into a phone about
It's
something.
like,
I don't remember it.
Oui,
But
oui. Rub it down.
yeah, yeah. Suck that dude.
God. Oh my gosh. The 90s were a different time, man.
Yeah,
Like,
that's for sure.
yeah. I was watching I was watching the Rush Hour movies, and me and Jordan were watching them together, and literally, I
They're
was,
so great. They're
I
so cancelable,
I
but
was
so great.
exactly. I was laying there watching them, like these just could not fly today at all. Like this is hilarious, but it just like it'd be like they wouldn't have got past the first one.
I was talking to Campa like literally last night about the 40-year-old virgin. We were just sending like quotes back and forth to each other. I'm like, you can't print any of this movie now. Like you cannot record like almost a single line from this whole movie.
No, not now, not now.
So I don't remember there's Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, love Harold
So
Kumar.
the main guy who is not the guy who plays Kumar, he always gets typecasted in every like movie as that guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Well, he's also gay in real life, and he was on like a podcast or interview or something where they're like, "Do these old movies offend you?" He's like, "No." He's like, "That was just a comedy back then." He's like, "We weren't." He's like, "It wasn't the same kind of hate. It's not okay, but it wasn't the same kind of hatred you'd get it from it, nowadays." He's like, "I was, I made a lot of money just based off of that, fitting into that stereotype and this and that." And I was like, it's a really cool, interesting podcast where he goes into like the actual like social like development of him being a homosexual, I don't know what ethnicity he is, but he's
I
not a
don't know
Caucasian
either.
guy.
Yeah,
But him going on that and his whole viewpoint of how that whole thing was is pretty interesting and also really funny because he's a very funny guy overall. But yeah, the 90s, early 2000s were definitely a time.
Or
right.
what's that one movie where Robert Downey Jr. is like Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, where he plays
Oh,
he
God.
plays a black dude.
Yeah.
That's all so quick.
Not like immediately. Frame one, movie is done. And like I cannot remember. I can't remember who I was talking. I was probably talking to Jordan about this. But the thing with like those movies is like we were talking about like, oh, it'd be cool if they made like a Rush Hour 4, or if they made like a reboot of like Scarface or something like that. And it's just like, and you get like the same people to play. It's like, no, it wouldn't hit the same because like you got a different like 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 the
The
comedy
demographic, it would fail in the box office
yeah,
because
like
the demographic
the
wouldn't.
comedy
Yeah.
out here now. The comedy like out here is like a lot different for like than it would be for like a Rush Hour 4 to be like successful. And the thing about it is, you couldn't get the same cast to do that movie because they're like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are a lot older now. Like they'd have to do
canceled.
yeah, they'd have to do like roles that like fit their age now. Like you couldn't get Al Pacino to do another Scarface because he's way too damn old.
Did you ever? There's a show on Comedy Central I used to really like. It was called The Jesselnick Offensive. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah,
So his goal, like literally, he said like my goal was to try to get canceled, and eventually he did by just pushing the boundary. They had a section called Shark Attacks where he made fun of people who got attacked by sharks,
Oh my
like actual
God.
news clippings.
uh,
I love it. So with comedy, I think it's one of those things where if it's if it's a comedy thing, I don't think comedy should be held to the same sort of standard as like a regular social, discourse. However, I don't think that having actual like racist or closed-minded or bullshit takes and like trying to hide it as comedy is the same thing as having like an actual comedy special saying ridiculous, dark, fucked up things
Yeah,
versus someone who's like, oh, ha ha ha, it was a joke. I'm like, well, no, it was just blatant bigotry with under the disguise of a joke, if that makes sense.
yeah. It's like it's just like when somebody try like it's like when somebody that's racist tries to play like tries to tell what they think is a funny racist joke and it's actually just not.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
very cringe and very bad taste.
Versus where you go to like a show that is called like I think his show was literally called like the Jesselnick Offensive. You know what you're signing up for when you go to see this, performance.
Yeah,
Is different versus you're like, oh, me and my buddy were joking, then haha, look at this. Like that's what that was out of pocket. You're like, no, 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 it's a joke. I'm like, well, I don't
right,
think it's actually a joke. I think you're just trying to disguise it as a joke.
right. Uh, it's like I watch a lot of stand up comedy. I love stand up
I
comedy,
love it. It's
and
oh my god,
you,
it's
you
so good.
you know the comedian Ari Spears.
I do not actually.
He's super funny. I'll send you some clips. I probably have because I send you a
You
lot
probably
of
have, yeah.
I send you a lot of wild shit.
Well,
But
both of our taste in comedy is the same by the shit we send to each other, as you can tell. So
it really is. But like there was this one bit he was doing, and there was this one white dude in the front and like in the front seats or whatever, and he was like he's just telling jokes that everybody else is laughing, but this one dude he said the dude looked mad. He's like, why are you looking at me like I was the one that gave OJ the knife that night?
damn.
I died laughing
I
about
think
that.
it's also super one of my favorite videos that the type of video I love seeing like on like Facebook Reels or just random videos is whenever someone's like making a joke and they're like, you can't do that, it's racist. I'm like, why does this 45-year-old white woman getting pissed off for something that has nothing to do with like her culture? You
Right,
know what I mean? Where it's like, well, you can't do that because it's racist. I'm like where you like they get offended for someone else. You know what I mean?
right. Well, well,
Jessica
guys.
said he's gonna hop off.
Yeah. Well, guys. I guess we're gonna wind down here. We do take listener letters. If you want to send a letter to us, and we'll read it. We'll read it on the podcast out loud. It's you can send it to our Gmail account at behindthedueldisk at gmail.com. Once again, that's behindthedueldisk at gmail.com. And you can send it for Justin. A letter for Justin, a letter to me. If you want to send one to Enrage, we'll make sure he's on the episode. And yeah, guys, Enrage, you got anything you want to say before we hop off?
For I didn't really say what my Orlando pick was going to be. I have a
Oh,
strong belief
oh, my
in
bad.
any
I'm
sort of
sorry.
frog deck or Diva Hero are always going to be my two picks. I would like for someone to take up the mantle and take the rock deck in my stead, but we'll see. We'll see. Then let us know in the comments what you guys think is going to win Orlando for either Modern or for the Time Wizard, and let us know what you guys' picks will be, and we'll be happy to read them.
Yes, leave your predictions down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, guys, as always, we appreciate you for listening and taking this time out of your day. This is Ty, Justin, and Enraged Peacock with Behind the Duel Disc signing off. Until the next
See
one.
ya.
See ya.